So today at Dreaming in Colour Productions, we're here with local artist Toby Joe Leonard. He's recently released his debut album Pain Relief and he's here to talk about it. Not only is it about the music and the journey behind it, it's about the awareness of mental health. So today we're going to have a word about it. So do you want to tell me what came around with it?
Okay, so I suppose the best way to introduce this would be that I didn't really ever intend on writing an album where I played everything. I've been playing music since I was 6, but I never had a guitar lesson. I never really took singing very seriously, and I think the reason this album came about was because it had to. And as cheesy as it sounds, I was in a really bad way for 2 years, and I think in that time I wrote about how I felt and about the situations that I was put in. And I guess because I didn't have to show the album to anyone when it was done, or even I didn't have to show any of the songs to anyone, it was almost like a therapy session to myself, so I could kind of listen back and go, okay, I remember how I felt when I wrote that, and obviously I don't feel like that as much anymore, so progressing slightly. But I think any artist who goes through hardship is going to come out with something kind of powerful and creative at the end of it.
So you're saying you had the album wrote for a while. How long did you have it?
Well, some of the songs in the album I was writing when I was at university, because I went through a couple of really difficult times there, and probably 2012 was the first song that I wrote for the album, and I released it this year. So some of these songs are 5 years old, which is quite strange. But then I guess at the same time, I would have never have released those songs had they not come into context on this album. This album kind of tells a story. I almost wrote it in two halves. There was one half which is addressing the mental health side of things, and then the second half is almost my personal experience with why it all happened, with breaking up with my ex, and kind of having that whole realization of finishing uni and then struggling with the world seemingly crashing down around me. So the songs, although they went back a long time, they wouldn't have been on the album had they not had some kind of context. There's a couple of songs that I'm not particularly oh, this is the best song on the album, but they had to go on there. There was reasons why some of the songs were on there, because I liked the songs, but then other songs I was well, I wrote that at a particular moment in my life where I was really struggling, and I kind of wanted to convey that to other people. An album usually these days is it's a group of songs. It's been written by a bunch of guys in a room, and it all kind of works and gels. This album, I suppose, didn't really take that kind of turn, because some of the songs were so personal that if they hadn't been on the album, I'd have never been able to release them. They came from the heart as well, a lot of these songs, so I felt that was the whole principle behind the album. It's just honesty and storytelling, and just saying this is what happened and this is why these songs have now been recorded.
You've got a motto for the campaign.
Yeah.
So did that come around with...
I guess I've always wanted to release a t-shirt that's a slogan, or just block capital letters with a saying on it, because I think it's the easiest way just for someone to look at your t-shirt and say, okay, I know exactly what he's on about. And with this t-shirt, the Just Tell Us That You're Not Okay, it's a lyric from a song which I haven't even released as a single, but it's probably my favourite song on the album, because it is kind of a reflective look on how I dealt with everything, and how I then used that to use with my friends, in terms of how they then were struggling and I was able to give back to them. So I wrote it from their perspective, singing it to me, but actually I think retrospectively I could have been easily singing about them. It is in third person, which is a really weird way to write a song, but I guess it can be taken whichever way you like, and that particular lyric kind of is pretty much the whole reason behind the album.
Yeah.
Just tell us that you're not okay. It's saying, well, if you have got these struggles and you have had this past of mental health problems, and you feel like you're alone, then by telling us that there's something wrong, it avoids any kind of escalation in terms of the events that happened, which is essentially what I wish I could have told my ex when it all went a bit wrong.
So what sort of feedback have you had from the album? Have you actually had anyone come up to you and go, what does this actually mean?
Well, before I even recorded the album, I was playing these songs live, and I think because of that, it made me a bit more confident in terms of why I was doing it in the first place. I personally think that there's some of the songs that I recorded and I was that's way too personal. It's I wrote the song and kind of went, well, I think that's a bit extreme. And then as I kind of played more and met people on the road and stuff, people came up to me and said, I really like that song, and I'll be like, why? It's the most personal song on the album. I didn't think you'd be able to connect with it. And people are well, I really connect with it because it's so honest. No one's talking about it. Like, no one's talking about self-harm or suicide or anything like that in the way that you are, because you're saying it how it is, and like, you're not trying to sugarcoat it, or not even sugarcoat it, but like brush over it or put it under the carpet. Like, you're genuinely trying to explain what it's like for someone to go through it, and also as a bystander watching it happen to someone that you love. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I remember one gig in particular. I think I was playing to like 3 people, and of those 3 people in the room, one of them was the bartender and the others were like musicians, but one of them just came up to me and said, that song Pain Relief about self-harm, it's just like really hit me. And I was just like, okay, this guy clearly is like, there's more to him.
Yeah.
And after speaking to him for a little bit, he was just like, honestly, like, thank you for writing that song, because it kind of puts everything that I'm thinking about into perspective. And I was like, that is really strange, because there's literally 3 people in this room, and if I've affected one of them by recording this song, I can kind of have an impact on so many more people than just one. So yeah, that's the main feedback that I've had. Like, since releasing the album and releasing these songs, people have kind of come up to me, but that was like a standout moment where I was like, I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm not doing it because I want to be famous or because I think this album's going to become, you know, the next big thing. It's just because there are a select few people, and there's more people than you would imagine, who actually need this sort of realisation that actually, you know, you're not alone.
Yeah, it shouldn't be taboo. It shouldn't be, like you say, people should talk about suicide and self-harm, because it hurts other people, not just themselves, but the people around them as well. It can leave bigger scars than people know.
Telling me you will never understand why I look for you every night, in every drop of this bottle of wine. Stop me from drowning in this bar. One drink is all I fear, will make the faintest of scars real. I'm looking for a sensation different to this. The nights I drink until I fall asleep are keeping me awake. We never knew that this life would end this way. We live through our memories, and I'll always remember your face. You don't tell anyone. I saw scars on your arms, and it breaks my heart that the only pain relief you get is yourself from yourself. We never thought we'd be dreaming of the day when we've grown so old. We forget all this pain. The day when our teeth have fallen out, when we look back at our lives and together we laugh out loud. We never knew that this life would end this way. We live through our memories, and I'll always remember your face. You don't tell anyone, but I saw scars on your arms, and it breaks my heart that the only pain relief you get is yourself from yourself. Will you be able to stand on your own 2 feet? Will you forget to say goodnight every time I kiss you on the cheek? Will your body become too weak? Or when the thought enters your head, will you lay yourself to rest. You don't tell anyone, but I saw the scars on your arms, and it breaks my heart that the only pain relief you get is your self-harm.
Like you say, it's quite personal and quite a close album to you. So what was the hardest bit about the whole album in general, like releasing it or recording it?
The hardest thing for me was realising that, okay, these songs are now written, do I now sing them and release it as my own thing, knowing that I can't really sing very well and I can't play guitar very well, or do I go out and then give these songs to other people to sing? So I was toying with the idea for a little bit and talking about like becoming a songwriter for other people, and I was like, well, it becomes so impersonal when someone else is singing these songs because they've not been through the journey like I've been, and they weren't the ones that wrote the words. And then I just kind of went, okay, I'm just going to play a couple of shows, see how it goes, and now I'm like, okay, it paid off, because like I feel like that was the biggest hurdle, realising that I can do this as a singer-songwriter and I can kind of turn this negativity and all this like hurt and negativity into something that's a bit more creative, and like showing other people that, okay, you might not be the world's best painter or you might not be the world's best actor, but if you get involved with like projects and you kind of believe in yourself, then it doesn't matter how far it goes, as long as you're kind of being creative, it takes the pressure off whatever it is you're dealing with in your head.
You made a good point though with the whole, if you gave it to somebody else and they wouldn't know what it is, like when somebody's wrote such a personal album, you get the whole emotion through the song, like everything comes through. And like you said about the album, if you were going to record something that wasn't personal, nobody would have the impressions that they got with it now.
Yeah.
So what was the hardest song to play live?
The hardest song to play live is a song called Sweets, because I mean I still play it now and I kind of cringe when I kind of sing it, because the majority of people that go to gigs when they don't know an artist don't go there to hear a song about suicide, and they don't want to hear a song about suicide. But that song was written from how I imagined my ex was feeling when it all kind of went a bit downhill, like very downhill. And like I wrote that in my bedroom in an afternoon, and I remember like feeling like I put myself in her shoes, and like having then written that, I then realised that actually maybe this is how I was feeling, and that kind of realisation is really difficult to kind of deal with. But then to play it live, it's like it doesn't get much more personal than trying to talk about killing yourself. So it is really, really tough when you see people not really paying attention or not wanting to hear it because it's so brutally honest. But then again, I haven't written these songs because I want to impress people. I've written these songs because there might be someone in the audience who comes up to me at the end and goes, actually, a couple of weeks ago I tried to take my own life, and to hear this, it kind of makes me feel like maybe I'm not such an outcast. I'm actually someone who, is just one of many, and together we're stronger. I genuinely think that. I think having met so many people, if people talk about it, they do feel a bit more positive, because they kind of go, okay, well, I'm so in my own head, then I can't actually imagine what it's like to not be me. And when you think about other people, you kind of realise you're not so much on your own.
Because there's a sort of stigma, isn't there? Oh, it's the invisible disease, nobody can see it, it's not really there. But like when you get people coming up to you saying, yeah, I tried to kill myself the other day and you made such an impression on me, it's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So I've listened to the whole album. It's all on Music Glue at the minute, isn't it? Is it going to be on iTunes?
Yeah, next month I'm releasing it on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music and Apple Music and all that sort of
everything.
Stuff. Yeah, as many things as possible.
So on your Music Glue page as well, there's a link to a charity called Sane. Have you ever had to had a dealing with them, like you've had to see them?
Well, I was introduced to Sane when I was still with my ex-girlfriend, and she was talking about all these charities and showing me like their campaigns on Twitter about the black dog and things like that, and I was like, okay, they're actually making a real positive change. They are just essentially a Samaritan's helpline for people that need to, and people that can write to them and share their stories, and then people can comment on it and sort of say, this is what I've been through. And I actually submitted a post a couple of years ago just about what had happened, and asking just like if anyone could help, and not so much like I want to speak to someone, but more like you know, I did feel a little bit alone. I felt a bit isolated, like I was the only one going through it. So to have people reply and say, you know, this is not uncommon, people do feel like this and stuff, I was kind of like, okay, I want to now give back because that service is available.
Yeah.
So I've decided that I was going to, you know, release this T-shirt, and all the profits were going to go to that charity. And then I'm not affiliated with them, but including them on my Facebook page and my Twitter, and talking about them on the Music Glue page and stuff, and giving people an option to go and check them out is like me giving back, I suppose.
This has been the interview with Toby. What song are you going to play for us today?
I'm going to play a song called What's Best For You, Mate, which is the one that I was telling you about, which is like giving back and coming forward and talking about, you know, mental health and if there's any problems, and then hopefully, you know, gradually people will come forward and talk about it a bit more.
They said, what's going on, mate? 'Cause you don't seem yourself. You spend all your time hidden away like an unread book on the shelf. You haven't been the same since she left you. Are you sure there's nothing you need to say? 'Cause it's alright to be feeling low. Just tell us that you're not okay. They said we care for you, mate, 'cause we want no harm for you. You shouldn't struggle in silence, stop trying to move on too soon. We want what's best for you, what's best for you. 'Cause we know you're not the same, and that's okay, mate. We wouldn't want you to try too hard to be someone you're not and end up slipping away. We know you're not the same, and that's okay, mate. We wouldn't want you to try too hard to be someone you're not. We don't want you to slip away. We want what's best for you, mate. She said, son, I can see you're lonely. You've got everything you want, a wife and kids, and that's cool with me. I can tell you're down, but you're not out, and I hate to see you living this way, especially with another baby on the way. They said we care for you, mate, we want no harm for you. You shouldn't struggle in silence, stop trying to move on too soon. We want what's best for you. 'Cause we know you're not the same, and that's okay, mate. We wouldn't want you to try too hard to be someone you're not and end up slipping away. We know you're not the same, and that's okay, mate. We wouldn't want you to try too hard to be someone you're not. We don't want you to slip away. We want what's best for you, mate. Cause we know you're not the same, and that's okay, mate. We wouldn't want you to try too hard to be someone you're not and end up slipping away. We know you're not the same, and that's okay, mate. We wouldn't want you to try too hard to be someone you're not. We don't want you to slip away. We want what's best for you, mate. What's best for you, mate.